We had the same dilemma in South Africa when it was subject to apartheid, and there was a strong move to boycott South African goods and so hurt the South African economy. But in so doing, it was generally black workers who suffered, because those boycotts would reduce their income as the income of the country as a whole reduced. And a similar dilemma arises today with the increasing moves to boycott Israeli goods, often produced by Palestinians in Palestine. So what should we make of the exploitation of people from poor countries by those in rich? Look at Abu Dhabi and Dubai, for example. Should we be outraged by the low wages and the effects of exploitation, which means that locals and expats with good salaries can live much better than they would otherwise be able to do because these people are paid so badly? Or should we be happy for them because they have work and they have salaries that may be higher, much higher, than those that they would earn back home? It's a conundrum, and there's no obvious single answer. If people in Abu Dhabi had to pay more for the services of those from poor countries, then they might stop hiring them, and that would actually harm the people that we might think of as exploited. As I say, there's no clear answer. The final experience of working in different countries, the most significant and perhaps the worst that I want to mention, is that of corruption. Corruption is widespread and is to be found pretty well in every country in the world. In the UK, we have seen it most recently with the corruption around the order of COVID-related contracts, where friends of the government obtained preferential treatment and earned vast profits at the expense of taxpayers. But in the West, my perception is that low-level corruption is rare. Unfortunately, in many developing countries, it's pervasive throughout the system. In Albania, where I worked as advising the ministry on the financing of its university system, it was commonly known that entry into university could be bought, as could high grades. In fact, I was told by an assistant working with me that in his village, in his town, there were 2 general practitioner doctors, and it was known that one of them had obtained a degree normally, whereas the other had bribed his way into medical school and then out again at the end. But my friend also did say that their reputation as doctors was not very different. Corruption often shows itself not through the exercise of money, but in the form of nepotism, the appointment of friends, acquaintances or families to jobs. This is a widespread and common and insidious practice. It's justified in terms of, well, it makes sense to appoint somebody that I know and trust to do the best they can, rather than appointing a stranger who I don't know at all. But it's deeply unsatisfactory. It's unfair. Somebody without the connections who is better qualified will not obtain the position that they're entitled to. And it also means that the best positions, the best person rather, for the job is not appointed, and the country or organisation suffers as a result. But as I say, it's deeply ingrained. I was working in Syria, producing a report on the university system there, and I criticised the appointment practices. I was denounced in a public conference by the Ministry of Education for trying to impose Western practices and Western culture on them, a sort of cultural imperialism. I do recognise the risk of imposing Western values, but I also observe that the fact that they may be Western doesn't make them wrong.